Okay, I've said this before, and I will repeat. I'm not a sect or I'm not a follow the rules kind of person, put it that way. And there are other people that are follow under that same category, and they range. Anybody that does meditation, usually people that do meditation, and life isn't about rules. I mean, there are rules of conduct, yes, but your heart, your soul will tell you how to act. And I just wanted to cut to the chase because our time is short here on earth. And as far as I know, my health is good, but I'm having trouble acclimating to the weather here in Quincy, and a lot of acidity. So I can't eat meat, I can't drink liquor, don't care about either really. But it's still hard to figure out what to eat, and I can't eat a lot of sugar either. I can't even really eat sugar either, which sucks because I love cookies or whatever, but whatever. All right, but I wanted to, when you walk a certain path, it's not like you get ministered to. It starts out where you'll be ministered to depending on the situation that you're in with people. If you're open and you give up your free will for that, because you have to give up your free will. You're in this body, you govern your body, I govern my body. So I have to tell Lord Master Jesus, that's just what I call him, and that's what they call him on the other side. When I had my near-death experience, my grandmother said, we call him Master here. Okay, like teacher. And he'll do anything for you. But he advised me, when you pray, ask for something as if the person is going to go get it for you. They're already going somewhere where they'll have it. And ask, can you get that? Or can you please get that? However you want to ask, your polite way, in like a request, okay? And he said, ask one of your relatives that passed away that you were close to, because they're right there. They're willing to help you. They walk with us. Whoever is on the other side that we were close to, they walk with us, like around us. We have an entourage. I don't know if you ever heard of Sylvia Brown. Brilliant woman. There are a lot of people, naysayers, this, that, and the other. But we all have different gifts. The Father gives us these gifts to utilize in his favor, for him to bring us all together. That's what she was trying to do. But a lot of people weren't ready for it. They're more into thinking, oh, well, that's the devil or whatever. Did they walk in her shoes? Did they carry her garments? Things like that infuriate me, because they didn't carry her clothes. They did not walk in her skin or in my skin. So I could go on and on and on about my experiences that always brought me to loving others, even though they were brutal and whatever they were to me. I love them to this day, and I will say love, 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 love whenever I think of them. I'll close my eyes so I don't think any evil thoughts or negative thoughts about them. The more you work on yourself that way, the less negativity you have in your aura, that your spirit, your soul carries this stuff. And God can see it, okay? On the other side, they can see what we're carrying. And they try to help us, and they'll create situations sort of similar. Sometimes they're like abstract in a way, if you will, and see how we deal with them. And if we deal with it with love. So if we do that, we pass the test. Otherwise, through the whole, it's like the return cycle, over and over and over. It's like, just beat me on my head. I don't want to deal with that anymore. And especially knowing the word of creation, which is the word love. It is love. Love is not just a word. It isn't a word. It isn't an emotion at all. It is a state of being. And it created everything that you experience, including your breath. So we have to think outside of the limitations of writings, right? I do this because gossip, writings, I could flip things around to anything, right? If I wanted to. But eventually, the spirit of love will bring you to the truth. And you won't see anything but that. But you'll see eventually where others were mistaken. And I use that word because they haven't come to the same understanding that you have. And so when you come to your understanding in your vessel that you're in, and you're ready for more, they'll give you more. They walk with us, talk with us, tell you don't deal with that person. They'll just tell you flat out sometimes. Get out of the elevator right now. Or things like that. Get off the train. Stuff like, listen to those things. And, don't panic, but because they're with you, nothing's going to harm you. They won't allow for it. And you will have protection. But if you repeat the word love over and over and over and you feel like you need protection, repeat love, 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 love. You'll feel it in here. Will become bigger and brighter. When that happens, all your protectors start coming in because your light is now shining bright like a beacon. And everybody sees it. The Holy Spirit, Jesus sees it. It's all around you. You are it. You are it. You're the living water. You're the living light. Okay? So I'm trying to make this video as brief as possible. And it's more like a download. So there's dark and there's light. Now, dark is going to be more confusing. You got to do this step, that step, and the other step to get to God. Okay? No, whoever wrote that or does that, that's what they have to do. I ask directly the Father because Jesus and other people like Buddha and stuff like that, they ask directly of the source of loving light, right? And that loving light source is said by John, and yes, that is from the Bible, because there are certain stories that are quite compelling. And that one, my brother was telling me about the book of John, so I have to give props to Eric. And Philip E. Oglesby, it should be Philip E. Andrews, anyway, because he's definitely Andrews. So when Jesus came, it was the Word which came into the form of man, which was also the light. Go figure that, right? The Word and the light. Well, with the Word, love. Love and light, right? Doesn't that feel better? Does that make more sense? So instead of reading it in a different context, think of what works, what your soul vibes with, because they're going to give you the answers. You don't need them from an outside source. You have a direct line with the Father. And Jesus taught that. All these other teachers blurting this out loud to a lot of people. But nobody listened. Not nobody listened. Only certain people did. But they still didn't get it. So he had to explain it this way, that way, this way, that way. Literally, it's light, and he was the light. Okay, don't step into darkness. You have a narrow path. It's about as narrow as your shoulders. And only it goes in one direction. Your eyeballs only face one direction. Aside from your third eye, but we won't get into that. If I look to my right and I take just a half of the width of my foot, I'm going to fall over into nothingness, into confusion, a lake of confusion. Either way, either direction. So I better keep my eye on Aaron's path. Aaron has a path. Okay? I can't look at Sarah's path or Karen's path or Linda's path or anybody else's path. I'm just going by some of these crazy videos that are out there. But look, Linda. It's one of my favorites. And it's like, look, Aaron, you better look straight ahead because you're toppling over. And my grandmother in my near-death experience said that when I asked her, when she said, everybody comes here. I looked at her like she had two heads. I said, Hitler is here? Like as if I didn't want to be there or I had a choice not to be there if he was there. Or if he's supposed to be somewhere else. He's not my child, he is God's child. God will tell you where he wants you, not some book. I can tell you that right now. And when the love that I've experienced, when you come to that, you'll know whose child you really are. And he will tell you himself, you won't ever go where I am not. Right? I wouldn't concoct a place like that. He can't even think of negativity where we all go. How could you can't think of a negative thought. If you can't think of a negative thought, how could you think of a place of torture for your children? That's one subject. Don't ever talk to me in person about that subject. It will heat me up completely because of the way the Father chastised me about that. He loves you more than you can't even imagine in a million lifetimes, in a gazillion bodies. Our brains are incapable of that kind of love. How could we even comprehend? It takes years of Bible study to figure it out, right? For some people. But when you walk a light path, they minister directly to you. So my point is, last night, I was being ministered to every hour how to express the difference between light and dark. To you, how to explain it. And it's very simple and it's very plain. All right? You have a choice. You can go light or dark. We'll say the left is light, right is dark. And I'm not talking politics, so don't throw me under that. No. I have nothing to do with anything that's dark. And anything that corrals you into believing a certain way is dark. I'll tell you that now. The Father will never, ever corral you into even thinking his way. He will allow you to learn your lessons and teach you all the different things. The Master will teach you also. The Holy Spirit will teach you also their ways. And when you come to the light of their ways, you know that there is no separation between you and the Father. You know that. And nobody will ever be able to convince you otherwise, because you will be able to utilize love for your own protection against these people who try to convince you other than what the Father is trying to tell all of us and has sent people here for. So, I don't ever believe that I was sent here for something. But when I had my near-death experience, that's what they said when I asked what my life purpose was. They said, it's the same for everyone. Everybody asks that question when they come into this room. What's my life purpose? And the answer is the same. You are all to love one another the way that Jesus loved you when he was here. So it's so hard expressing that because I don't see it. When I go here in Quincy, I see it almost everywhere. It's such a wonderful place. I love being here with all these people because you feel the love coming from within them. And there is nothing sinister. Even people who are on the street, and because there are people everywhere on the street, even here. Even people on the street treat you with respect. And if you tell them you love them, they'll tell you they love you. And, nobody there are judgmental people. I'm not one of them. But, it's a very loving place. That's all I have to say. When I go to the city, anyway, so we're all here for the same purpose. We are all here to love one another unconditionally. I don't care what you did then. I don't care what you did over here, because your path goes this way. It goes in front of you, right? In front, where your eyeballs are pointing. So back to what my grandmother said. Of course he's here. He's one of the most loving souls I've ever met. I'm talking about Hitler. Excuse me, I have heartburn. And let me have some coconut water. That'll help. So, hold on one second. I'm not trying to promote any types of products or anything, but in case you want to know it, it's a Vita Coco, but but I don't know, it works, it's good. Anyway, it took care of the heartburn. So she said, he's one of the most loving souls I've ever met. Well, my grandmother never spoke about souls when she was alive. So by her saying that, I knew she was elevated to a certain level where she knew more than I did. By 1,000,000 times more. Especially the look on her face was almost like I offended her and everyone else there. Of course he's here. He's one of God's children, you know? And believe me, my mom's mom, and she would have slapped my ass. If the look that she had on her face, she would have literally slapped my face. Like, what are you talking about? Of course he's here. Snap out of it. Like the Cher slap in the movie Moonstruck. And, you know, she says, Aaron, everyone on earth has their own path. And she looked right down, and cause my path was glowing at that time. So they were teaching me lessons even while I was there. And her path was lit up too, my path, and they were separate. I can't walk onto her path and correct her. That's her path. I have my own path. Trust me when I say it is narrow. Your feet on each side barely fit while you're walking normally. You don't have time to stumble at all. So, you know, this ain't a tumbling. Life is not about tumbling lessons. It's about walking that path of mine and in the light of the Father, not somewhere else, not in another direction, not, oh, well, God's path is this way. Did you speak to him? I did. He didn't tell me that way. He said, I have one path. You do too. You have one path, and it's a path of love and the path of light. Okay, so the darkness will create stories. They will create an argument. They will create a distraction for us, like our cell phones and computers. Anything that entertains us and gets us off of our path for a long period of time, out away from nature. So you have to set a, you don't have to. I have to though. I have to set a day aside, which I've set aside Saturdays now. Sorry, my nose might be running right now. I'm just almost at the end of this video. And, you know, I set aside Saturday, and I'll go to the woods, and I'll go in nature and do all of that. And, you know, it's very soul opening to do that. And you are cleansed. And touch the leaves of the trees, touch the leaves of the flowers around you. Go to the burnt forest. Be there and visualize what happened and the life that was running through there they were literally running for their lives and things like that. You know, call upon the birds, sing, go somewhere where you can sing. Get out of town, literally. Go somewhere like a lake or a river where you can have some bit of solitude, where it's the light beings, your family, my family, whatever, and Lord Master Jesus, God the Father, the Spirit of love, which is within you. And it's a driving force, that light. It's a driving force like a locomotive. The Spirit of love, the Spirit of love, the Spirit of love, the Spirit of love, go, Spirit of love, go, Spirit of love, Spirit of love, Spirit of love, you are the Spirit of love. And this is literally, I was in a friend's backyard, and there were some clouds, and they were taking different shapes, and I was praising God at the same time. And there was this music that had that rhythm, and I was thinking in my mind, the Spirit of love, and these glowing objects, some of them look like faces that I have seen in the Egyptian carvings and stuff, and other ancient carvings, different, and even like the bird-faced man, and they're sitting on these like chariots that move all on their own, and but they were in cloud form. So, I mean, I wasn't tripping out or anything. I wasn't drinking any liquor, none of that. And then I'm looking and I'm like, check out the clouds. And they're like, yeah, the clouds. And I'm thinking, maybe it's my particular, what I'm, doing and the things that I'm ignoring in my life, ignoring the needs of the flesh, not drinking excessively or at all in this case now, and not necessarily eating meat, just trying to keep my energy clean and pure, whatever pure is, I don't know. But it's hard for me, so I am exercising, resistance of the flesh, resisting the flesh. And so I have to do these things in order to remain close to the Father. And not necessarily remain, but to honor the Father, really. Honor the Father. That's a tough thing to do. I mean, especially if you like sugar, if you like all these things, it's tough. But you have a closer communication, and believe me, you want to heal somebody, you can heal them. You can distance heal them. There is no doubt about the things that you can do. And I wanted to read this passage. This video is way longer than I wanted it to be. See if I can get this thing to switch. There we go. So Jesus comforts his disciples. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God. Believe also in me. And this is, when you're walking a certain path, he could say this, right? He wasn't perfect, but he was. Because he did what he was the right things to do in order for him to receive the information he received. He didn't receive anything different than Buddha or, other Vedas, Indian, sort of like guru people. And they believe in God too. So my Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, I would have told you that I am going there. Would I have told you that I'm going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also be where I am. You know the way to the place where I'm going. You know the way, and the way is only one way. You have to give up your physical body, which is called a rebirth at that moment. So you are born into this body. Your soul is born into this body. Okay? Your rebirth into where we're from, right? Your resurrection, so to speak. You leave your body, right? Well, where else are you going to go? Except for your source of love and light, which is where the Father is. I'm not going to give you ideas of darkness, because for me, they don't exist. So I'm not going to say anything about a place that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Okay, and God told me that, and Jesus has told me that. My grandmother wouldn't even comment on the question. She thought it was so silly. She just looked down at the ground like, this kid. Thomas said to him, Lord, we don't know where you are going, so how can we know the way? See, they weren't seeing what he was seeing. It's like a lot of people don't see what I'm telling them either. And I get that, because we all have our own time. There's timing. Timing is crucial. Timing is important. Right time, right place kind of thing, And God is all about timing. Oh, it's not the right time yet. You haven't gotten there yet. There are lessons we have to go through. There are things we have to give up, right? Then the timing will come. And, okay, now I see it. Because we will literally be blind to certain things, And Jesus answered him, I am the way and the truth and the life and light. And it's because of his path that he walks this pure path. No one comes to the Father except through me. And that's because of the path. The reality is, if you really know me, you will know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him and have seen him, because he lives through each one of us. Philip said, Lord, show us the Father, and that will be enough for us. He's standing right in front of you. Look in the mirror, you will see him. Jesus answered, don't you know me, Philip? Even after I have been among you such a long time, anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say that? Show us the Father. Dude, I would have slapped his, by now I would have slapped him right upside the head. Are you not understanding? In other words, he was still too worldly, or whatever you want to call it. He was still not in the light, so to speak. He was answering to his calls to the dark. Because they'll woo you. Woo, come over here. Let me sidetrack you. You got your iPhone tumbling over here. You got it ringing over here. As I'm recording this on my iPhone.